Welcome to your local program, BelAhdan, a show with an accent for those without one. A lot of negative story coming out of the Somali community. And here, there is a wonderful story that you're not going to see that anywhere else. We have here Mona Khalifa, it's an intern at Sierra Club, and she's involved with, earth justice and wonderful stuff. It's really nice to see the second generation immigrants get involved in the mainstream issue like environment and what have you. Next to her, we have Barni Hussein, also with Araha. Araha also involved with the refugee and all over the world helping some of the people, the unfortunate, that we don't hear about them in the mainstream media. Welcome to BelAhdan, Muna. Welcome, Barni. We were talking about a story coming out of our community because there's a lot of negative story about, Shabab, ISIS, kids are leaving mainstream America and they're looking for another identity, and they find it in, bigger cause like ISIS, Shabab. Now for you, Mona, you found a way that you can find yourself and relate to something else, being a second generation Somali and being an American. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Sierra Club.
Okay, well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having us. I am a junior at the University of St. Thomas studying entrepreneurship and a minor in legal studies, and I got involved with Sierra Club through ARAHA, which is known as the American Relief Agency for the Horn of Africa. And what they do is they primarily focus on alleviating poverty and hunger and illiteracy both in Minnesota as well as the Horn of Africa. And Sierra Club is one of the largest nonprofit environmental organizations, and they serve as working toward preventing climate change and renewable energy. So that's kind of how I got into Sierra Club through ARAHA, and I have been interning for them Sierra Club for the last couple of months, ARAHA for quite some time now. And I think Bundy can relate to me with that one. So,
I know you're a Muslim.
I am, yes.
And
in case you can't tell with the
yeah, exactly. Well, it's a fashion now. You have
I know,
very
right?
nice fashion, to be honest. I would wear one of those if I
I don't think it would suit you that well. I'm sorry.
But in Islam also, talk a lot about the earth. And the people who are taking care of the earth. We're going to espouse the earth and deliver it the way it was delivered to. So it's really, if you look at it from the Islamic culture or something, taking care of the earth is really a big deal.
Yeah, and oddly enough, people, both, I guess, Muslim and Americans, find it shocking that you'll see hijabis who are Muslim who are being advocates for climate change, because they just kind of think it's more of an American thing, even though it talks about it in the Quran and how important it is to us. But I think it's absolutely...
It's not even an American thing. It's coming
I think it's like basically everyone. So, I mean, I'm glad that we're able to be here today and kind of like show that there are people who look just like us and are very fascinated and very much involved in this kind of issue. So.
And I think you're right. You're breaking a stereotype.
Yeah, basically. Because, I mean, I was born and raised here. I was born in California. I was... moved to Minnesota when I was about 4 years old, and my parents are both Somali, and I'm the first.
You have a California touch too.
Do I really? Yeah, I've been
so
told that.
California will never leave you alone.
I don't think it ever does, yeah.
Barni, I know you work in ARAHA longer. Tell us a little bit, how do you get involved with?
So I got involved with ARAHA as an intern last summer. I was working on implementing sanitation projects. So essentially what my project encompassed was researching what toilet models would be best be implemented in internally displaced camps in the Horn of Africa, because they have very poor sanitation, and that poses a great adverse risk to public health there, because like feces can cause like infectious diseases and cholera breakouts. So I was just looking at the different toilet models that are affordable and what would be best suited for that region. And then at the end of the summer, my supervisor told me about an opportunity to intern at the Sierra Club in partnership with ARAHA to spread awareness about climate change. So that's how I'm involved with both ARAHA and the Sierra Club.
Tell me a little bit about your background. You were born where?
I was born here in the U.S. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Then went to school?
Yeah, so I was born here, and after I was born, I moved to Dubai, and I went to preschool and kindergarten there. And after that, I moved back to the United States, and we lived in Northern Virginia. It's just outside the D.C. area.
Do they care about the environment in Dubai?
In Dubai,
This guy's
it's very questionable.
Las Vegas without the gambling, right?
In Dubai, I don't know if I can't speak for them, so I don't know if they care about the environment. They're not very environmentally friendly because it's a very consumerist society. People just, go shopping, and it's very glamorous there. And they don't have good labor regulations. Like a lot of the laborers who build all those tall skyscrapers are paid like very low wages, and they live in live in terrible working conditions. They live in cramped housing. They work in long hours in the hot sun, and some of them even fall off the building sometimes, or they don't even get paid.
Yeah.
So I don't think the
That's horrible. Let's put it that way. But when we talk about the environment, we're not talking also here in the United States. You guys look globally, and
Yes.
I mean it's huge in Europe.
It is.
The Sierra Club and what have you. So when in your community, Somali community, when your friends, school, whatever, when you talk, people say I'm involved in Sierra Club. How do the community react to that?
I think a lot of people who are our age, college students, half would be familiar and be shocked that we're involved, and the other half have no idea what Sierra Club is, which is quite unfortunate. So it's kind of nice to be able to share that with people that are not aware of what the organization does and kind of educate them on what it is and what they do and how to get involved. Some of the work that both Barni and I, have done is raising awareness for the climate change both here and also in the Horn of Africa. Over the last couple of months, we put on several events. And through those events, we had photo exhibits in the Twin Cities as well as in Rochester. And just recently, we went to Washington, D.C. to lobby on behalf of the new clean power plant rule that they're trying to implement, the EPA is, which is Environmental Pollution Agency. And in order to do that, you have to raise awareness. And the carbon pollution is affecting so many lives, and we want to reduce it by 30% in 2030. And what's so amazing about the new EPA law, I guess, that they're trying to pass, is that it puts the states in a position where they could push the law forward themselves and be advocates for themselves. And Sierra Club enables those community members who have been deeply affected by the carbon pollution to be able to stand out and be advocates on behalf of those people. So, I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work that's being done, but it requires a lot of people to get involved and also to, raise awareness alongside with the Sierra Club. So, and then Barni, I guess, could elaborate a little bit more on...
I run the show.
You
are great. You are really great. I'm just looking at it. It's wonderful. The things are coming. So you should come here and co-host the show.
But I mean, you put us in a nice little environment. We're comfortable.
No,
so thank you
really
for that.
Appreciate you coming. I mean, we've been covering this Somali community, the Shabab, and all. It's just wonderful. I mean, when we talk about young Somali women, getting involved in mainstream issues, and are not exposed to a story and didn't see her about it, Star Tribune, menopause, or whatever. But so I'm very honored and very pleased for you guys to come in and talk about it. You talked about Ara. Ara is also involved with refugees. And those are the people who are hurt the most from the environment, from disaster. Tell us a little bit about, when you get in an organization cause that is bigger than you like this, your identity is solid, that you are somebody advocate of the environment, as opposed to issue. Young Somali, they have issues with their identity and whatever. So this is wonderful role model in that young age. Tell us a little bit about some of the programs or things that you are so proud to be involved in and encourage people also to get involved with.
Also to piggyback off your first comment, you're right, climate change does affect people in the Horn of Africa the most because they're at the equator line, and recently they've had, as a result of climate change, there's more frequent intervals of flooding and droughts that affects food, and that causes food shortages, and that results in famine. Recently, we had a huge famine this summer, and we had one 7 years ago in 2011, and that was a huge disaster. And that also exacerbates geopolitical conflicts because people are going to be fighting over scarce resources. I'd also like to answer your second question. Like, it's really great to get involved in the community, and like we implement like a lot of great programs, like not just like distributing humanitarian aid, but also trying to like build like community partnerships.
Education and
through like education, yes.
And I mean, you talk about food and politics and how famine is really exacerbate the civil war and the conflict in Somalia. I mean, you're not talking about just saving Mississippi River or up north, but also in a way, it's a security issue.
It is. I mean, my parents are both from Somalia, and they came here because of the civil war. And there's so many issues in Somalia, and sometimes it kind of feels like, is there ever going to be a sustainable solution? There's so many nonprofit organizations that try to help them and try to alleviate their problems, but it starts in the beginning, and that's the root of the problem. By solving that and creating a sustainable method, that's gonna, help them propel forward. And kind of going off what Barni was saying, even though Araha works so hard with alleviating the poverty that's going on in the Horn of Africa, there's so many people being constantly affected, and it's like, where do you begin? Where do you create that solution, and who do you talk to? And there's a very small portion of people that give Muslims in Somalia a negative image. I mean, there's so much more of people like me and Barni. A good example, my sister, woo is a senior at Mount Park Academy, got accepted to 8 Ivy League schools.
8?
So 8, all 8.
I didn't know they even have that many Ivy school.
Yeah, and she just, declared that she's going...
Including Harvard.
Yes, so she declared that she's going to Harvard just a few weeks ago. So, I mean, there's so many people, just like Barni and I, not, even maybe a little bit better and who've worked harder. So I think kind of focusing and shedding light on the work that we do is the beginning of raising that awareness in both issues.
And also, like, it's important, like you guys mentioned earlier, that we're breaking stereotypes, because people, they expect hijabis to be like very like conservative and meek and quiet and to be like submissive. And also a lot of people think that environmental justice issues are only issues that like white people care about. And as people of color, it's important that like we like make a good image that it's important to care about the environment, because it affects our community the most. Like in North Minneapolis, that's where most of the coal power plants are, and they release so much pollution that people get affected by asthma. And because they're like people of color and poor, they can't do anything.
Can't even move out.
They can't even move out.
And so they have police brutality, and then they have also the pollution. This is really a double whammy.
Yes.
But you're talking about the stereotype of Somalia. I think Somali woman, if it wasn't for Somali women, I think Somalia would have been gone. What keeps Somalia is Somali woman and poetry. So really your role of carrying in the culture, and this is really a story that needs to be told.
They're the backbone.
They are the backbone of the Somali, and living here in diaspora here, but also this is what keeps the... So, you have so many foundations in the Somali community. You have 3 Somali, you have a foundation. And all those people, I don't know what they do, to be honest with you. And here you have pouring funding from Washington and FBI and State Department to those foundations. They're absolutely, I'm not generalizing, but some of these parents are doing absolutely nothing except getting the money and all of that, and then cooperating with the FBI and law enforcement to spy and be informed, and exacerbate that stereotype. Here, your organization, I mean, you struggle raising funds for your organization. So what are your source of funding?
I mean, kind of like you mentioned, there's so much corruption that's going on, but at the same time, what you need to do is enable them to lock their own resources, and that's the beginning of, the next steps for them.
Independence.
Exactly. So, I mean, I can see why people would not want to get involved, because it seems like a lost cause, but at the same time, you have to overlook that and be able to help people unlock their own resources and not just serve as a catalyst who just constantly wants to give them food or resources.
There is also pro for car, people you have to return a favor or some reason if you get money. Mona and Barni, is very pleased to have you here, and I think that's the end of our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
I really enjoy having you here. Always do come again anytime you have something to say, and we appreciate you.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
And really to break the stereotype of Somali women and Somali in general. Assalamu alaikum, and God bless you all.